Environmental social mitigation measures. So the electricity transmission project is classified as category A in accordance with MCC's environmental guidelines. So based on preliminary evaluation, 7 of the 8 international finance corporation environment and social performance standards, the IFC performance standards, which are incorporated by reference to the MCC's environmental guidelines, will apply. There are some unavoidable environmental and social impacts of the electricity transmission project, such as cutting trees, tree cutting, land acquisition, and resettlement. So, unavoidable and social impact. Tree cutting, land acquisition, and resettlement. However, consistent with MCC's policies, all risk will be properly addressed through relevant compensation, mitigation, or management measures. Environmental and social considerations have already been taken into account during route selection for the transmission lines activity to avoid or minimize impacts to sensitive environmental and social characteristics of the project areas. The electricity transmission project will complete a domestic environmental impact assessment permitting process and a subsequent forest clearance permitting process prior to the start of construction. So environmental impact assessment and then forest clearance before construction works. The Bikas sub-activity will also be implemented in those communities traversed by the electricity transmission project that are not realizing direct benefits from construction of the transmission lines activity. Environmental and social risks, impacts, and opportunities will be managed through an environmental and social management system for all compact activities. MCC funding will also be used to undertake an environmental and social impact assessment, environmental and social management plan, and any necessary resettlement action plans. So MCC's fund also can be utilized for that. So prior to construction, you will need forest clearance and then environmental impact as well. So that is also needed. So in case of social inclusion and gender integration, the electricity transmission project through the Bikas sub-activity is intended to have significant and positive social benefits. The principal idea of benefit sharing is to share the benefits resulting from infrastructure projects in order to satisfy the electricity needs of concerned communities. The Bikas sub-activity intends to explore the provisions of electricity and associated services to gain acceptance of the affected communities, keeping in mind the demographic and social context of those communities. Section BIA 3 of this Annex 1 further outlines proposed activities to better address social inclusion and gender integration issues relating to power sector. So it's about shared benefits, donor coordination. Throughout the multi-year development of Compact, MCC and the government have engaged in an inclusive process that includes consultation with United States government, Nepali communities, and key private sector actors, non-government actors, and other donors, as well as multilateral organizations. In particular, MCC worked closely with the World Bank and the Asian Development Bank in reviewing and agreeing on various power sector reforms required in Nepal for future programming by 2 banks. MCC also consulted frequently with United Kingdom Department of International Development (DFID) during its preparation of a political economy analysis of power sector reform. So they just did not come up with the compact just like that. So it is through multi-year development. So it has gone through many stages and then it has been consulted with different partners such as World Bank, ADB, and DFID, and then only they came up with this plan. So USA The electricity transmission projects benefits from close interagency collaboration between MCC and USAID. Specifically, MCC has coordinated closely with USAID on its 10 million ongoing technical assistance activity, which provides a review of government's regulatory regime and provides ongoing assistance to the government to achieve financial close on several large hydropower projects transactions. USA aid assistance is complementary to MCC's efforts in electricity sector. So it is only complementary. Sustainability. Sustainability of the electricity transmission projects will be enhanced by investments in technical assistance that are focused directly on improving the regulatory regime to cater greater transparency, accountability, and efficiency of the electricity market. Furthermore, the technical assistance provided under the compact is intended to improve the government's capacity to better manage and maintain transmission assets. A sustained increase in the consumption of reliable and affordable electricity supply should promote economic growth, create jobs, increase income, and consequently reduce poverty. So, investment in technical assistance will uh, improve regulatory regime, which will create transparency, accountability, and efficiency of electricity market. Furthermore, the technical assistance provided under the government to improve government capacities to better and maintain transmission assets. So, as a result of this investment, what would happen is that the consumption of electricity supply will promote economic growth, create more jobs, increase income, and consequently reduce poverty. So, policy, legal, and regulatory reforms. In addition to Section 8.1 of the Compact, the parties have identified the following policy, legal, regulatory, and institutional reforms and actions that the government will pursue in support of the project. The MCC and the government agree that two requirements for improvement of the electricity sector are creation of independent electricity sector regulator, passage of new law for electricity sector regulation, which will grant the regulator the authority to license sector operators, provide operating certificates, set rates in public interest, and make rules for transparent sector operations. The technical assistance for the proposed regulator and the Ministry of Energy will be dependent upon passage of legislation creating the regulator and providing the regulator with appropriate authorities. So they have also mentioned that the government should create an independent electricity sector regulator, and then they should be authorized to grant license to different operators, operating certificates, set rates, market prices, and then after that make rules for the for the power sector and for transmission assets, or like if there might be any transmission company whatever, so they might do that as well, but they should be given the authority. So second of this compact is road maintenance project. So summary of project and activities. The objective of the road maintenance of project is to maintain road quality across Nepal's primary or strategic road network. To achieve the road maintenance project objective, MCC funding will support funding for technical assistance and capacity building to Nepal's departments of road and road board of Nepal, and up to 305 km of maintenance works on Nepal's strategic road network. Sorry. Technical assistance activity. This activity will provide training and capacity building for the departments of road and road board of Nepal Compact funding will support training, capacity building for DOR, RBN as applicable in the areas of improved data collection and techniques, preparation of appropriate road maintenance plans driven by economic justification, improved prioritization of periodic maintenance, improved contracting and contracting management, including integration of improved road safety features, improved project management. The training and capacity building provided will also entail the transfer of modern road maintenance methods, technologies, and business processes under this activity. Strategic road maintenance works activity. The strategic road maintenance work activity is intended to complement and build upon the technical assistance activity and will include two components. So road maintenance activity is intended to complement and build upon technical assistance. So which will include two components. So first component being a pilot sub activity focused on pavement recycling, and second is a matching fund to finance periodic maintenance works. The pavement recycling sub activity will be undertaken using new technology which has the potential to address some of the issues associated with carrying out works on narrow roads, namely traffic congestion, difficult work conditions, and extended construction times. The sub-activity is proposed to be tested and evaluated prior to entry into force of the compact to inform the remaining program design for the strategic road maintenance works activity. Okay, so it will be tested first of all and then evaluated prior to entry into force. And then before it is being done, it will be tested first of all, and then the new technology will basically try to solve the program problems which are now as such, which is traffic congestions and difficult work conditions, extended construction times on narrow roads. Okay. So and then the building of roads in narrow roads is very high, very risky, and then it takes a lot of time. So probably their new technology might be helpful. So to incentivize additional government spending on road maintenance, MCC funding will be used to establish a matching fund that would provide $2 for every US dollar the government spends above its current average annual amounts for periodic road maintenance up to a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 crore 50 lakh for annually for 3 years. The matching fund would be used to fund periodic road maintenance works on up to 305 kilometers in total, selected from a pool of 2000 kilometers of Nepal's strategic road network. So out of the 2000 kilometers of road, 305 will be maintained as per this MCC's funding. A matching fund would be created. So for every $1 spent, a $2 fund will be established, and then that amount will be used for annual maintenance. So using SDM4 model, the government has initially selected 5 road segments for periodic maintenance. At the time of implementation, it is no longer feasible to perform periodic maintenance on selected road segments. The government will use the SDM4 model to select substitute road segments of up to 305 km in total. The overall program of the works will be confirmed through a multi-year maintenance plan to be generated through technical assistance support of the project, and will focus on utilization of improved data and economic prioritization of work. So 5 segments has been selected. So at the time of implementation, it will not be possible, but the overall program will be confirmed when it is when the technical assistance support is provided. So, who will be the beneficiaries of this program is said to benefit approximately 900, 924. So 9,24,000 people will be benefited, spread over local administrative units crossed by proposed 5 road segments. So environmental and social mitigation measures. The road maintenance project is classified as category B under MCC's environmental guidelines, where the proposed activity have potentially limited adverse environmental or social risk or impacts that are few in number, generally site-specific, largely reversible, and readily addressed through mitigation measures. The project is limited to maintenance and rehabilitation of existing roads and is unlikely to have significant adverse economic and social impacts for which standard management measures are unavailable. So, environmental or social impacts caused by construction activities such as temporary road closures, evacuations, and borrow pits, noise, dust, and worker and community health and safety will be managed through targeted environmental and social management plans based on the findings of an abbreviated environmental and social impact assessment. No land occupation or physical resettlement is anticipated. Okay. So basically, it is just upgradation of already available road, just maintaining it. So there is no need of land acquisition, nothing. So the road is already there. All you need to do is maintain it. So there will be pretty much very less environmental impact, which is basically the dust, noise, and then the pits and then culverts or like whatever if they are making a drainage or something. So there might be that sort of problem, but not for significant adverse environmental and social impact. And then no land acquisition or physical resettlement is anticipated. So, in addition, the road maintenance project will promote road safety through improved road design, through information and awareness campaigns by the government to help with more responsible and safer use of roads by both vehicle operators as well as non-motorized users of Nepal's primary or strategic road network. Sorry. The information and the awareness campaign will raise awareness about truck and bus drivers' responsibilities. So, the information and awareness campaign will raise awareness about truck and bus drivers' responsibilities, vehicle maintenance, and safe and responsible use of highways by both vehicles and pedestrians. To mitigate the accident risk, the project will support building shoulders alongside selected roads with high incident of accidents to pedestrians and non-motorized means of transport. Okay. So uh, it will also run a campaign for responsible and safer use of roads for both for the pedestrian as well as for the vehicle users as well. So social and gender inclusion. MCC funding under road maintenance project will also be used to engage with contractors and DOR to encourage participation of women marginalized group in higher skilled and higher paying maintenance jobs. So they might try to involve more women and people from marginalized group in higher skilled and higher paying maintenance jobs. So donor coordination, the two primary donors working on maintenance work related work on SRN strategic road network is ADB, DFID. MCC will coordinate its technical assistance efforts under the compact to the extent possible to reinforce this technical assistance efforts. So USAID is not currently funding any programs in Nepal specifically transport targeting the transport sector. Throughout the implementation of the compact, MCC will coordinate with USAID if any transport-related activities are supported by USAID. Sustainability. Investment in road maintenance are an investment in long-term sustainability. The road maintenance project is expected to help the government move towards addressing its long-term maintenance needs through improved data collection on the strategic road network, improved maintenance planning and prioritization, mobilization of an appropriate amounts of financial resources, and developing an improved system contractor performance mechanism. So policy, legal and regulatory reforms. Road maintenance has suffered an inadequate resources and management practices has not been consistent with international best practices. Even though the RBN has been established, which is Pradhikar, Rail Road Board, or you could say Sadak Board, which is a regulatory body, has been established to manage funding for maintenance, rehabilitation, reconstruction, pavement upgrading, and road safety. Only part of the financial resources spent for road maintenance actually reach the roadway board Nepal. To address these issues, development partners are providing technical assistance to the government, including the RBN and DOR, assisting with the amendments if necessary, the replacement of Road Board Act. So both the technical assistance and the infrastructure components of the road assistance projects should help raise DOR's capacity to manage road maintenance to international standards and use lessons learned to implement 305 kilometers of road maintenance projects, including possible use of performance-based maintenance contracting. So based on performance, then only so performance-based maintenance contracting will be used. So in particular, the matching fund should incentivize the government to increase its road maintenance budget beyond the historic averages. Okay. So implementation framework. So how will this be implemented? The structure and establishment. The government will establish MCA Nepal as a development board through passage of formation order approved by Council of Ministers and published in the Nepal Gazette. So MCA Nepal as a development board will be established, and then the development boards are independent and flexible entity and are commonly used in Nepal to implement a variety of projects including foreign grant or loan funded projects. So MCA Nepal will have full decision making autonomy including inter alia, the ability without the consent or approval of any other party to enter into contracts in its own name, sue and be sued, to establish an account in financial institution in name of MCA Nepal and hold MCC funding in that account, expend MCC funding, engage contractors, consultations, guarantees without including without limitation procurement and fiscal agents, competitively engage one or more auditors to conduct audits of its accounts. The governance of MCA Nepal will be set forth in more detail in program implementation agreement, the formation order and the internal regulations of MCA Nepal, or as otherwise agreed in writing by the parties. The internal regulation will be in accordance with governance guidelines. MCA Nepal will be administered, managed, and supported by following bodies: the BOD, a management unit, and one or more stakeholders committees, yes, government entities to help implement the projects. So who will be on the BOD? So board of directors will have ultimate responsibility for the oversight, direction, and decisions of MCA Nepal, as well as the overall implementation of the compact. The BOD will comprise of 7 voting members. As of the date hereof, the voting members of the BOD will be following: Finance Secretary of Ministry of Finance, Joint Secretary of Ministry of Energy, Joint Secretary of Ministry of Physical Infrastructure Transport, Managing Director of Nepal Electricity Authority, a representative from civil society, a private sector representative, and Executive Director of MCA Nepal. The number of voting powers and their identities may be changed through amendments to internal regulations with MCC's approval. The members of the BOD may be represented by alternates appointed pursuant to MCA Nepal internal regulations. In addition, MCC's resident country director in Nepal will serve as non-voting observer to the board. Okay, resident country director will serve as a non-voting observer. In addition, representative from the following ministries such as well as any other experts from the BOD finds helpful may be invited on an as needed basis. The Ministry of Land Reform and Management, Ministry of Home Affairs, Ministry of Forest and Soil Conservation, Ministry of Population and Environment. The process of selecting the BOD will be further stipulated in the internal regulations and will be consistent with the governance guidelines. Management Unit. Management Unit as defined below will report to BOD and will have principal responsibility for the day-to-day operations and management of the compact. The management unit will be led by an executive director and will be composed of the directors and officers as agreed between the parties and consistent with the governance guidelines. The management unit will be selected after an open, competitive and non-discriminatory recruitment and selection process. And the appointment of each member of the management unit is subject to MCC's no objection. So, the MCC's approval is required for the management unit as well. The officers will be supported by appropriate additional staff to enable the management unit to execute its role and responsibilities. Upon written notice by MCC to MCA Nepal, and the selection of candidates for additional process positions within MCA Nepal will be subject to MCC's approval. Stakeholders committees. The parties recognize the importance of establishing one or more stakeholder committees, both to promote transparency and ongoing consultation among compact stakeholders as well as to further the overall goals and objectives of the compact. The stakeholders committee will be identified and operated in accordance with procedures described in the governance guidelines and the stakeholders engagement plan. The parties agree that MCA Nepal will regularly update the SCP stakeholders engagement plan, and MCA Nepal will ensure that each stakeholders committee identified in the stakeholders engagement plan will meet or engage in coordinated collaborations with MCA Nepal on at least a semi-annual basis. So 6 months. And thus, stakeholders engagement plan will provide MCA Nepal's oversight and procedures for receiving, sharing, and responding to feedback from and in collaboration with each stakeholders committees identified in the stakeholders engagement plan. And MCA Nepal will provide regular updates regarding the stakeholders engagement plan to its board of directors. So stakeholders committee will also be formed, and then there will be engagement at least on a semi-annual basis, and then stakeholders engagement plan will also provide MCA Nepal oversight and procedures for receiving, sharing, responding feedbacks to stakeholders committees. So project partner. Subject to the terms and conditions of this compact, the program implementation agreement and any other agreement entered into in connection with this compact, the government may engage one or more active entities of the government to assist with implementation and carry out any project or activity under this compact. The appointment of any project partners will be subject to review and approval by MCC. The government will ensure that the roles and responsibilities of each project partners and the appropriate terms are set forth in an agreement in form and substance satisfactory to MCC. So fiscal agent. Unless MCC agrees otherwise in writing, the government will engage a fiscal agent which will be responsible for assisting the government with its fiscal management and assuring appropriate fiscal accountability to MCC's funding, and whose duty will include those set forth in the program implementation agreement and such agreement as the government enters into with the fiscal agent, will which agreement will be in form and substance satisfactory to MCC. So the government will engage a fiscal agent which will be responsible for assisting in fiscal management along with providing assurance, like auditor or separate agent for fiscal management. Procurement agent. Unless MCC agrees otherwise in writing, the government will engage one or more procurement agents to carry out and certify specified procurement activities in furtherance of this compact. The roles and responsibilities of the procurement agent will be set forth in program implementation agreement or such agreement as the government enters into procurement agent, which agreements will be in form and substance satisfactory to MCC. So it should be in satisfaction or to MCC as well. The procurement agent will adhere to procurement standards set forth in MCC's program procurement guidelines and ensure procurements are consistent with the procurement plans adopted by the government pursuant to the program implementation agreement unless MCC agrees otherwise in writing. So Annex 2 is about multi-year financial plan. So how will the budget be allocated? It's basically they have given it over here, multi-year plan summary. So in the first year CDF for in the first year it will be this amount, and then in the first year it will be this amount, second year will be this, third year will be this, fifth year will be this, total is this much, and then transmission line activities is this much, substations activities this much, technical assistance this much, oversight this much. In case of road maintenance, the figures are here. Monitoring and evaluation this much, administration and program management is this much, and then the government contribution should be 13 crore dollars. Okay, so that's pretty much it. So compact monitoring and evaluation summary. So how will the program be monitored and evaluated? So it's basically regarding that and what is the program logic. So basically the logic behind this is, so once the electricity transmission has been made, so it will increase exports, increase imports, which will increase imports in case of electricity. So this will improve the supply of electricity, which will increase the increased consumption of electricity, which is the objective, and then the energy cost savings per unit consumed for connected households and business. So this will ultimately serve the MCC's goal, which is poverty reduction through economic growth. Okay, so this is the logic chart. So in case of road thing as well, in case of road as well, it is pretty much same, poverty reduction through economic growth. So these are the outputs that they are looking for, and then matching fund which is being created. So this will help increase maintenance spending by DOR, which will avoid road rehabilitation upgrading expenditures, which will reduce the transportation cost. So that will help to reduce economic or help to reduce poverty through economic growth. Okay, so projected economic benefits is also there. So transmission line, let's see what's electricity generation capacity will increase by 360% between 2016 and 2023 from 856 megawatt to 3946. Estimated ERR is 12%. In case of road network as well, so for the deterioration would be very high, and then high traffic volumes. Where there are high traffic volumes, it is better to have roads in better condition, because that will reduce the maintenance cost of the vehicles, which will eventually reduce, or which will provide more disposable income to people, which will reduce poverty. The present value of economic costs amounts to 3 crore 84 lakh, and then the present value of benefits is 15 crore, and then the present value of the project is this much. Estimated ERR is 29%. So in case of beneficiary analysis, road electricity transmission project will benefit 23 million. Road maintenance project will 0.92 million. So there will be some overlap as well. Monitoring component. So different indicators will be used. Definitions of indicators will be outlined. Sources and methods of data collection. Frequency of data collection will be there. And responsible parties for collecting and analyzing data. So goal, outcome, output, and process indicators will be there. Baseline indicators as well. And the target. So they have basically set out the baseline and compact target as well. So that is also there. And then after that, so evaluation component will also include independent evaluations. So it will basically, evaluations will include all these things. So basically, like, was the electricity transmission project implemented as planned? So was the load shedding in Nepal reduced as a result of electricity transmission? So the indicator would be load setting for this, and then they would use all this improved electricity and export electricity. So how was the cross-border electricity trade changed by electricity transmission projects? All this thing will be taken as an indicator. Okay, so this is baseline, that's their target. Cost savings for each families. So in case of road as well, this is their baseline measurement, this is their target measurement. Targeted objective, like that's the target, let's say. So it's after 3 years of work or after post completion. So evaluations will be made regarding, did the program meet the project objectives, did the program meet or not meet the project objectives, so what are the lessons learned. So all these things will be answered as well. And then responsibilities will be mentioned as well. Approval and implementation of M&E plan. So what sort of written approval will be required, that will be proposed and made modifications accordingly. So conditions precedent to distributions of compact CDF. So what are the conditions that is required or to be met before it is before the funding is dispersed? So all it says is that fiscal accountability plan acceptable to MCC and compact CDF procurement plan acceptable to MCC. The government will have enacted the regulations, so which is basically drafting the rules for electricity regulatory body. Those were their conditions as well. The government will be provided a schedule and procedures acceptable in form and substance to MCC for the disbursement of the first 4 crore of United States dollars. So conditions precedent to all compact CDF disbursements is the government has delivered to MCC the following documents in form or substance satisfactory to MCC: a completed disbursement request together with applicable periodic reports for applicable disbursement period in accordance with reporting guidelines, a certificate of the government dated as the date of compact CDF disbursement request in such form as provided by MCC. A fiscal agent has been engaged, a fiscal agent disbursement certificate. A procurement agent has been engaged, a procurement agent disbursement certificate. And if any proceeds of the compact CDF are deposited in a bank account, MCC has received satisfactory evidence that the bank account has been executed and permitted accounts has been established, which is in name of MCC Nepal. So in the conditions earlier, they were saying like they will create a new different accounts as well. So appointment of an entity and individual to provide fiscal agent services as approved, which should be approved by MCC until such time as governments provides to MCC a true and complete copy of fiscal agent agreement duly executed in force and effect, and the fiscal agent engaged thereof is mobilized. So appointment of an entity or individual to provide procurement agent service as approved by MCC until such time as the government provides to MCC a true and complete copy of the procurement agent's agreement duly executed and in force and effect, and the procurement agents engaged thereby is mobilized. MCC is satisfied that the activities being funded with such compact CDF disbursement are necessary, advisable, and otherwise consistent with the goal of facilitating the implementation of the compact, will not violate applicable law or regulations. So they should not violate any any applicable law or regulations. So no material default or breach of any covenants, obligations, or responsibility by the government, MCA Nepal, or government entity has occurred or is continuing under the compact. There is no violation of and the use of requested fund for the purposes requested will not violate limitations on the use and treatment of MCC's funding. Any taxes paid with MCC through the date 90 days prior to the start of the applicable disbursement have been reimbursed by the government in accordance with section 2.8. The government has satisfied all of its payment obligation, including any insurance, indemnification, tax payments, and other obligations, and contributed all resources required from it under the compact and any supplemental agreement. So for any compact series of disbursement occurring after the compact has entered into full force in accordance with Article 7, MCC is satisfied that MCC has received copies of any reports due from any technical consultants for any activity since the previous disbursement request, and all reports are in form and satisfactory. The implementation documents and fiscal accountability plan are current and updated and are in form and substance satisfactory to MCC. So, and the progress is satisfactory to MCC on the components of implementation plan for any relevant projects or activities related to such compact CDF. There has been progress satisfactory to MCC on the M&E plan, social and gender integration, which is basically in case of road, it is women and marginalized communities. For the program or relevant program or activity and substantial compliance with the requirements of M&E plan and social and gender integration plan. 4 is there has been no material negative finding in any financial audit report delivered in accordance with this compact and the audit plan for the prior 2 quarters. MCC does not have grounds for concluding that any matter certified to it in related to MCA disbursement certificate, the fiscal agent disbursement certificate, and the procurement agent disbursement certificate is not as certified, and if any of the officers or key staff of MCA has been removed or resigned or the position remains vacant, MCA Nepal is actively engaged in recruiting a replacement. MCC has not determined the act, omission, conditions, or event has occurred that would be basis for MCC to suspend or terminate in whole or in part compact for MCC's funding in accordance with Section 5.1 of this compact. Prior to the third compact CD of disbursement, the government will have designated electricity transmission project as a national pride project. The government must be in compliance with schedules and procedures provided pursuant to Section 1C above. So these are the additional conditions. Annex 5. So the government must have submitted a plan in form or substance acceptable to MCC and consent by the Government of India, memorializing key and financial technical terms for the construction of key financial and technical terms for the construction of new Butwal Gorakhpur cross-border transmission line and operating principles for the new Butwal Gorakhpur transmission line. The government must have submitted evidence to MCC that the Electricity Regulatory Commission Bill has been passed by Federal Parliament or that of progress satisfactory to MCC is being made on the passage of the bill. The government must have completed those approvals, permits, and determinations identified by MCC as necessary to ensure that all necessary land acquisitions, site access, and forest clearance is completed in a timely manner to ensure projects may be completed prior to compact end date. The government will have designated electricity transmission project as a national pride project. So these are the additional conditions, which is basically, since it is transmission line is from two different countries, so they will need a consent of Government of India as well on key financial and technical terms, and then for operating principles, and then parliamentary approval of regulatory commission bill, electricity regulatory commission bill, and all the site clearance, land acquisition should be completed or done earlier on, so that the government can be so that the project can be completed before time as well. And then it should be designated as national pride project. So Annex 6 is about definitions. So Annex 7 is about tax schedules, and then so it's basically exempted. All of these taxes are exempted and refunded, whereas income tax, individual income tax and corporate income tax is exempted only, not refunded, or even though it's exempted, and then that's it. So basically all the procurements done for this particular project will be exempted. So this is it, guys. MCC funding, there is no military component towards it, so we have gone through all of it, so we don't find anything of that sort. So yeah, should there, all those misconceptions that there has been is not there in the agreement, as we have already read for 2-3 hours now. So yeah, this is a good project, so which will definitely help to reduce poverty in Nepal by economic growth. So hopefully, we hope this will go through and every Nepalese will have a prosperity that they desire. Until next time, bye bye.